You've been grinding in the gym for months, maybe years, and your muscles just won't grow. Let me tell you why. I see this constantly. Guys walk into my office carrying the same frustration like a weight they can't put down. 6 days a week in the gym, eating what they think is right, and they look identical to 6 months ago. When I dig deeper, the truth always surfaces. They don't actually understand what makes muscle grow. That's what gets me. We obsess over supplements. We wage wars over rep ranges. We drop hundreds on pre-workouts. But most people never pause to ask the most fundamental question. Why would my body even want bigger biceps? Because here's the truth. Your body doesn't care how you look in the mirror. It cares about survival. And muscle is expensive real estate. It devours calories. It demands resources. Unless you give your body a damn good reason to build it, it simply won't. That's the conversation most guys never have with their bodies. That's exactly why they stay stuck, spinning their wheels in the same place. Let me paint you a picture. A few years back, I had a patient who drove a cab through downtown Chicago. Great guy. Nearly 2 years of lifting under his belt. He came in for a routine checkup and mentioned he wasn't seeing results. When I asked about his routine, he told me he was in the gym every single day, sometimes twice. I looked him dead in the eye and said, "That's your problem." He didn't believe me. How could training less possibly lead to more growth? But here's what most people completely miss. Muscle doesn't grow in the gym. It grows after. During your workout, you're tearing it down, creating damage, sending a signal. Growth happens during recovery. When you sleep, when you eat, when you rest. If you never give your body time to repair, you never grow. You just keep tearing yourself down over and over. For most natural lifters, guys not on steroids, 3 solid workouts a week is optimal. Maybe 4 if your recovery is dialed in perfectly. More than that? You're probably just spinning your wheels, going nowhere fast. I know that's hard to swallow. We're conditioned to believe more effort equals more results. But sometimes, training less is exactly what finally gets you growing. Now let's talk about what actually triggers muscle growth. There are 3 main drivers, and you need to understand all 3 if you want real progress. First, mechanical work. Your muscles respond to being used. You don't need to train to failure every set. Plenty of people build muscle through pure volume. Think about manual laborers. Think about swimmers. They're not grinding out max effort sets, but they're doing repetitive work. And that creates growth. Second, muscle damage. When you lift heavy, when you push to failure, you're creating micro tears in the muscle fiber. Your body repairs those tears and overcompensates. That's hypertrophy. This is why intensity matters. Third, metabolic stress. That burn scorching through your muscles at the end of a set, that's not just lactic acid. It's a cascade of biochemical signals screaming to your body that something serious is happening. Blood flow, metabolic byproducts, the pump, all of it contributes to growth. Here's the key. All 3 matter. That's why you can build muscle with high reps, low reps, heavy weight, light weight. They all work, just through different pathways. The best programs weave all 3 together. I used to think it was all about going heavy. That's what I was taught. Then I started paying attention to the research. Turns out, 12 rep sets can build just as much muscle as 5 rep sets if you take them close to failure. The path is different. The destination is the same. So when someone tells you there's only one way to train, they're flat out wrong. Let me tell you what I actually recommend. Start your workout with lighter weight. Get the muscle warm. Do 10 or 12 reps. Then increase the load. Do it again. Keep stacking weight as you go. And by the end, you're hitting failure with a much heavier load than you could have handled fresh. You've pre-exhausted the muscle. You've accumulated volume. You've created damage. That's the trifecta. Drop sets work the prop. Same way. You hit failure, strip some weight, go again. Then again. You're pushing the set beyond where it would normally die. It's brutal. It's effective. But none of it matters if you don't recover. Sleep is non-negotiable. If you're sleeping 5 or 6 hours a night, your hormone levels are aging faster than your actual body. I'm not exaggerating. Studies show that cutting just 90 minutes of sleep per night consistently can drop your testosterone to levels you'd normally see 10 or 15 years older. You're 25, Sleeping 5 hours? Your testosterone looks like you're 40, and you're sitting there wondering why you're not growing. I've also seen guys convince themselves they're eating enough when they're not even close. I'll ask them to track their food for a week. They come back with 2,200 calories a day, maybe 2,500, and they're genuinely shocked when I tell them that's nowhere near enough to build muscle. Your body will not build muscle in a caloric deficit. Not for long. Not if you're lean. Not if you're natural. It'll protect fat stores and cannibalize muscle first, because muscle is metabolically expensive and fat is cheap insurance. You need a surplus, not a massive one, but enough that your body has actual resources to build with. Can you gain muscle on a deficit? Maybe. If you've never lifted before, if you're carrying 25% body fat, if you're on drugs. But the leaner you are, the less likely it becomes. That's just biology, not opinion. So if you're stuck, ask yourself this: are you actually eating enough? Now let's talk about something most trainers won't tell you because it doesn't sell programs. Some people just have better genetics for building muscle than others, and no amount of effort will change that reality. There's a protein in your body called myostatin. Its entire job is to limit how much your muscles can grow. Some people produce less of it. Those are the guys who look at a barbell and blow up. They do a few sets and their arms explode. Other guys produce more. They train for years and stay relatively small. That doesn't mean you can't build muscle. It just means your ceiling is different. And once you accept that, you stop torturing yourself by comparing your Chapter 3 to someone else's Chapter 20. I had one guy come in completely convinced he was doing something wrong because his buddy was twice his size and they trained together. Turned out his buddy had been on testosterone for 2 years and just conveniently never mentioned it. That's more common than you think. Look, anyone can build muscle. I mean that. Any body type, any starting point. Skinny, heavy, tall, short, doesn't matter. The real questions are how far you'll go and how much effort it'll take to get there. But you have to be realistic. You're not going to look like some guy on Instagram who's running a gram of gear a week and training 4 hours a day. And that's okay. You're building a body you can sustain. One you can actually live in. One that doesn't require a pharmacy to maintain. That's worth more than size could ever be. Here's something else most people get completely wrong. They think cardio will kill their gains. It won't. In fact, if you skip cardio entirely, you're setting yourself up for serious problems down the road. Your heart is a muscle. If you only lift weights, you're training one system while completely ignoring another. You need aerobic capacity. You need cardiovascular endurance, not just for health, but for performance. I recommend 20 to 30 minutes of steady-state cardio 2 or 3 times a week. Not sprinting. Not brutal intervals. Just a pace where you can hold a conversation. That improves recovery, supports metabolism, and keeps your heart strong while the rest of you grows. And no, it won't make you smaller. Not if you're eating enough. One more thing before I wrap this up. Supplements. People ask me constantly, what should I take? And my answer is almost always the same. Food first. Always. But if you're training hard and struggling to hit your protein target, a quality whey isolate can help bridge that gap. Creatine works. It's one of the most researched supplements in existence. It helps you squeeze out 1 or 2 extra reps per set. Over months, that compounds into real growth. Take 5 grams a day. Some people load it, some don't. I never did. It made me hold too much water. Beyond that, maybe a multivitamin. Maybe magnesium and zinc if you're deficient. Maybe electrolytes if you sweat heavily. But if someone's trying to sell you a miracle stack that'll pack on 10 pounds of muscle in a month, walk away. It doesn't exist. Not naturally. So here's what I want you to take from this. Muscle growth isn't magic. It's a dialogue. You tell your body it needs to be stronger. You give it the stimulus, you give it the food, you give it the rest, and it responds. But only if you're consistent. Only if you're patient. Only if you understand the rules of the game. Next time you're in the gym, ask yourself, am I training to grow, or am I just going through the motions? Because one of those builds muscle. The other just makes you tired.